sheep.
Poor sheep. Sheep go boom boom. You guys, hey, welcome back to Home Groups. We love you guys, and we love you more than that guy. I love the sheep. He tried, right? But sometimes these things don't go as well as we think they'll go. So we are kicking off into the next episode of our series called Predictions. And so we're talking about sheep this week. Sheep. What do you guys know about sheep? So sheep are awkward. So here's some random sheep facts for you guys. So we're going to start with Grace. Grace, read this as fast as you can. 1, 2, 3, go.
Okay. Domestic sheep, Ovis aries, are what? Quadrupedal ruminant mammals, typically kept as livestock. Most ruminant sheep are members of the order
Artiodactyl.
I don't
know.
I could not read half of this when I tried.
Ungulates.
I was right.
So, poor Grace. Yeah, I couldn't read half of these words either. I thought it'd be funny if you tried to read them too. You guys, we have some random sheep facts we just want to read for you guys. So, Brandon, why don't you read yours next?
The 45 million sheep and 10 million cattle in New Zealand burped and farted about 90% of that country's methane emissions, according to government figures.
Why didn't I get that one? That one doesn't have anything.
Okay, here's another one that's less Latin-based. You can try this one. Why don't you read that one?
They struggle to stand up if they are kept on their backs.
Their wool will grow forever.
Forever.
They have rectangle-shaped pupils that give 320-degree vision.
That's crazy. Crazy. So sheep, you guys. We're talking about sheep. It's all about sheep. You guys, hey, it was super fun last week to hang out with 9th grade at 3rd Street Pizza. You guys, I think if we ever hosted a track and field meet, that 9th grade would dominate at our church because you guys have there's a lot of talent in that room. It was fun eating pizza with you guys and getting to know you guys. And it's fun hanging out with 7th grade. Just the guys hanging out together, doing some worship and talking with a lot of rabbit trails, but it was really fun hanging out with you guys. So thank you for letting me hang out with you guys and to do life. We have some announcements, so let's talk about what's coming up next.
This Sunday, please come to SOWO. If you don't know what SOWO is, it is Serve One, Worship One, or WOSO, Worship One, Serve One. So our church has 2 services, and during one service, you would come to room 226 above the foundry and serve. You as a student, yes, can serve in the church. Lots of different ways. Talk to a leader if you're wondering what kind of ways you can serve. And then the next service, you go and you worship. You can sit with your buddies, take some sermon notes with you, and then turn in your sermon notes, and then we do a drawing and all that. So it's great. Serve One, Worship One gets you involved in the church and also gets you to go to big church and actually worship with the whole church body.
Yeah.
Yes. And then for next week, for Tuesday and Wednesday nights, we are back in the foundry doing the Armor of God. For middle school, it's going to be our first week, and high school will be our second.
Nice. And if you guys memorize verse 5, that was the homework from last week. If you guys memorize verse 5 in Isaiah 53, if you say it to your leader, and if your leader gives you the okay, then make sure they contact me. I want to give you guys a gift card for Union Block. I have some gift cards I want to give to you guys. So you have to memorize it.
Whoa.
You have to say the whole thing. It's actually a great verse because it talks about like the gospel, and it's just super powerful. So if you get it, then let me know. I'll give you guys a treat.
Nice.
Yeah, one of the crazy things about sheep is sheep are famous for just grazing, just eating and eating and eating.
Bad.
And they just eat all the time, and they just they will wander from pasture to pasture. And so a lot of times they get locked in what they're eating, they're not looking around. And so this is why I love that the Bible compares people to sheep, because we're just eating. Like I think about these, I look at people today as they're on these things, just eating, consuming, walking into things and walking off of things. And so I think the description of people with sheep, that comparison, I think it's very fitting, because sheep are actually very smart. They have about the same IQ that pigs have, which is actually very smart, but they just wander, so they need a shepherd, someone to actually look after them and protect them, because they're not very observant, even though they can see well, because they have this good eye retina stuff going on.
They're just too distracted.
But they're too distracted. So I think it's a fitting thing for us. So yeah, the passages are broken over just verses 6 and 7 in chapter 53 of Isaiah. Just talks about this whole thing with sheep and why we are called sheep and how sometimes we can wander. And so check out this story from our friend Grace Dean. as she shares her personal story of the time that she wandered.
Okay. A time in my life where I kind of felt like the sheep that was going astray and wasn't really focused on God and didn't really know what was going on was I had a lot of health issues for the last about 3 years now. And there was a time where I wasn't going to school for like 4 months, and I would just lay in bed a lot, and I didn't have energy to even go to church, or when I did, I would just sit and my brain wasn't working well enough to really process anything, and it was hard to just know why. I questioned a lot of why was this happening to me, why I haven't done anything, super crazy, why me? But then as you look into scripture and you really work on your relationship with God, you know that that's not how it works. It's not a why me, it's just this is going to happen, and you need to just rely on God. And so my family really helped me with that, and my friends, and then I just kept going to church even if I didn't feel good, and I would just sit there and I just kept listening and kept praying. Prayer is a big thing.
Like it butterflies in my stomach. I got the old me in the rear view, not a new me.